They say the great stone hall of the Alpha King is cold, but the chill that gripped me wasn't from the mountain air. It was the icy certainty of fate. Every Omega in the room trembled with a silent primal fear. A fear they directed at the man who was about to choose one of us as his seasonal claiming. But I, Alara, saw past the polished facade and the savage amber eyes of Kian. The true monster wasn't the king they feared. It was the prophecy of ruin he was desperately trying to outrun, a destiny that had followed him since his parents' assassination years ago. And the most terrifying revelation: I was the one sent here, the defective offering, not to submit to his power, but to defy his destiny, or perhaps to fulfill it. The air in the great hall was a suffocating, almost physical weight, a mix of damp earth, expensive, cloying perfumes, and the overpowering primal musk of dominant alphas. It was the scent of power, unchecked and demanding, and it made the Omega blood in my veins hum, with an involuntary, humiliating urge to submit, a weakness I had spent my entire life trying to suppress. I pressed myself against the cold, carved stone wall, the rough texture of the ancient rock a small anchor in the surging tide of fear. My thin, ceremonial dress, a flimsy offering from the meager stores of river mist, offered poor resistance against the chill, both external and internal. I was Alara of River Mist, a place so small and so far removed from the Citadel's heart that it was a miracle they even remembered us for the annual tributes. I was, by design, an afterthought. Unlike the other Omegas, who were polished and perfumed, their faces masks of practiced demureness, I was a deliberate disruption. My pale, almost silver hair hung loose and unadorned, lacking the intricate braids that mark those raised in the tradition. My secret, my heritage as a moonspeaker, the sickness of the mind that brought forth agonizing, truth-telling visions, was concealed only by a flimsy silver pendant, warm against my collarbone. It was the last piece of my grandmother, engraved with a wolf curled protectively around a crescent moon, a relic from the old ways, before alphas ruled with iron fists and omegas became mere political currency. "Stand straight, girl," hissed the handler, a stout woman named Maeve, who smelled of sour fear and cheap wine. Her fingers dug into my shoulder, the pain a sharp, necessary distraction. "The Alpha King himself is present tonight. Show some respect. Do not disgrace your village further." Respect was a luxury afforded to those who weren't bartered away to appease powerful men. 3 days ago, my village elders, desperate to secure their immunity from the raiding packs of the southern wastes, had presented their ultimate bargain, my tainted body and spirit, in exchange for their guaranteed protection. My grandmother's final words were the only shield I truly possessed. "Remember, Alara, your heart is the one thing they cannot take unless you surrender it." I planned to survive this by being rejected, making me a non-entity they couldn't shame. Then, the massive oak and iron doors at the end of the hall swung inward, scraping against the marble floor, a sound like destiny arriving, and the world stilled. Kian, the Alpha King, entered, and the immediate silence he commanded was more deafening, more terrifying than any roar. Every eye snapped to him, yet no one dared to move. He was a figure of granite and raw power, every movement a controlled execution. Dark furs, trimmed with the rare shadow wolf pelt, adorned his shoulders, exaggerating his already formidable size. His face, carved from winter stone, was impassive, betraying nothing of the immense power that resided within. He didn't just walk, he commanded the space, the very atmosphere. The air thinned around him, vibrating with an unseen energy. But when his eyes, flecked with raw, storm-tossed amber, finally swept over the line of Omegas, they didn't just see the offerings. His gaze snared mine, locking me into a silent, terrifying communion. In that instant, a searing, beautiful vision flashed, a blood-red moon hanging low over a burning castle, a shared, jagged scar across 2 hearts, and the overwhelming, primal, agonizing feeling of being utterly, irrevocably home. The intensity of the shared vision, a force that ripped through my mind, made my knees buckle, and I gasped, a small, choked sound. He stopped. His eyes, those savage amber eyes, focused solely on me, that one. His voice, deep and resonant, cut the silence like a blade, final and absolute. The pale one with the untamed hair. The collective gasp that ran through the nobility was an agonizing symphony of shock, betrayal, and humiliation. I, The token tribute, the defective one, was chosen over the daughters of the highest nobility, the perfectly groomed, politically powerful Omegas. My handler, Maeve, nearly fainted. My meticulously laid plan, to be rejected and sent back, securing Rivermist's safety through Kian's public dishonor of me, was dead. I was chosen. I was snared. I was led away through the endless twisting corridors of the citadel. The castle, built deep into the mountainside, felt less like a royal residence and more like a massive gilded prison, a labyrinth designed to keep secrets in and outsiders out. The door to his private chamber was an ancient black oak masterpiece, intricately carved with a scene of wolves hunting beneath a full, ravenous moon. Inside, the room was oppressive, dark wood, thick furs piled high, and a roaring hearth that did little to dispel the chill that clung to Kian himself. The silence here was different, expectant, heavy with implied promise and danger. He stood by the fire, shedding his ceremonial furs and robes, revealing the simple, dark tunic and trousers beneath. Without the layers of ceremony, Kian looked younger, perhaps in his late 20s, but his strength was less ceremonial and more primal. He was a perfect, deadly machine. Alara of Rivermist, he said. The way he tasted my name sent shivers down my spine, a complex mix of dread and arousal. Your village sent me a letter. Did you know it detailed your sickness of the mind, your visions, that you are prone to episodes of prophecy and hysteria? The humiliation of their betrayal was a raw burn, quickly masked by my burning rage. They sought to insult you, Alpha King, I admitted, meeting his challenging gaze without blinking. They risked my life to secure their safety. I am aware of my purpose here, a token of disrespect. They thought I would return you in shame, fulfilling their obligation without losing anyone they valued, he murmured, taking a deliberate step closer. The scent of pine, smoke, and primal power was overwhelming, making my Omega instincts, the ones that yearned for protection and dominance, stir violently against my will. They insulted me with a tainted offering. Then exercise your right, Alpha King, I challenged, my voice steady despite the tremor running through my hands. Send me back or kill me, whatever punishment fits their discourtesy and my condition. He smiled then, a genuine, sharp look of predatory appreciation that softened the hard angles of his face. It was disconcerting. No punishment for you, Alara, not if you accept my proposition. He moved to a small carved table and poured 2 goblets of wine, offering me the silver vessel. Spend the night in my bed. Endure until dawn without fleeing. If you do, I'll grant you your freedom and guarantee your village's protection. Despite their betrayal, my mind raced, searching for the ultimate deception, the hidden blade in the contract. Just sleep beside you? I asked, skeptical. His deep, startling laugh, a sound that felt more human than I expected, filled the chamber. No, little moon speaker, not just sleep. I require satisfaction, a king's choice. I offer you a true binding contract, your body for your freedom. Your life will be spared, your people will be safe, and you will walk away untouched by a claim. The choice was a cruel, impossible one. My personal sovereignty, my lifelong fight for independence, all hinged on my consent to this predatory bargain. I took the goblet, downing the wine in one defiant gulp, the liquid warming my throat. One night, I repeated, my voice steady, masking the internal tremor. No claiming bite, no binding ceremony. I walk away at dawn, free. Kian studied me with an intense scrutiny that felt like a physical touch, a mapping of my soul. Your courage is a startling thing, Alara. Tell me about these visions. Tell me what your eyes can see that others cannot. Tell me the sickness they speak of. The wine and the sheer gravity of the moment emboldened me. The depth of his gaze compelled truth. I told him about the echoes, the ability to feel the past of the stones and the future in the air. I spoke of the woodland spirits that whispered warnings, and the pendant, the mark of the ancient moon speakers, those born with the gift of true foresight. A cold, calculating realization settled in his amber eyes, removing the last vestiges of his smile. Your council sent me a moon speaker, he murmured, the name heavy with ancient reverence and raw power, a conduit to the old ways, a shield against the unseen. They know nothing of what they've truly sent, or they would have kept you locked away and chained to their council table. He stepped closer, closing the distance between us until I could feel the intense heat radiating off his body, the masculine pull of his alpha scent. I chose you, Alara, not just for the moon speaker blood, not for the political insult. Kian's voice dropped to a low, intimate rumble, vibrating in my chest. When I entered that hall, I scented something I believed was only legend, something that complicates your freedom, and mine. My breath caught. The moon speaker blood in me already knew the agonizing, beautiful answer. I dreaded to hear it spoken aloud. My fated mate. The ancient, impossible words hung in the air. A physical weight. That's impossible, I countered, stepping back, a denial already forming on my lips. If that were true, why offer me freedom? Why not simply claim me, complete the bond, and secure your queen." His expression hardened with the conviction of a king who had suffered loss and betrayal. "Because a true mate cannot be taken, only given freely. If I claim you by force, the bond will be broken, a curse, not a blessing, leaving us both half-formed and eventually driven mad by the separation. This night is a test, to see if you will willingly choose the destiny that lies between us." He moved to the small table and picked up a heavy parchment. "The separation curse is a slow death for the king, and a maddening isolation for the moon speaker. If you walk away at dawn, you are free, your village is safe, but the separation will consume us both, leaving my pack vulnerable to the internal wolves that seek to devour my throne." He showed me the dark, ragged scar on his side, visible just above his tunic, a memory of an assassin's blade that had nearly taken his life 2 years ago. "My pack is surrounded by political wolves," he whispered, his eyes distant, filled with the shadows of memory. "Betrayal is my constant companion. I need a queen who is a partner, not a prize. A moon speaker who can see the threats I cannot. I need a willing mate." The night that followed was an exquisite, agonizing torture of desire, honor, and denial. Kian, the Alpha King, showed a restraint that broke all expectations of his kind. He didn't rush, mapping every inch of my body, seeking my silent consent with every demanding touch, every searing kiss. He used his body to prove the terrifying strength of the mate bond, yet held back the ultimate act of claiming, the bite that would forever bind us. We spoke of our histories, our burdens, his young ascension after the brutal public assassination of his parents, the constant suffocating pressure of his reign, the whispers of incompetence from the council, my solitary life as a cursed outcast, feared by my own people, forced into a corner by my visions. He saw my independence not as a flaw, but as the strength he desperately needed in a ruler. "You think accepting the mate bond means surrendering yourself," he observed, his voice a low, intimate rumble, as he traced the line of my jaw with a thumb. "That's a lie taught by weak alphas who need submission to feel whole. Between true mates, it is a covenant, Alara, never a surrender." As our bodies became tangled in the rich furs and silk sheets, as my resistance finally shattered into breathless sighs and whispered pleas, the heat of the bond was overwhelming. He held back from the claiming bite, but the connection was irrevocably made. Our souls recognized each other in a burst of white-hot, devastating completion that left me panting, clinging to his shoulders. "Kian," I gasped, the sound ragged and raw. "My Alara," he growled, the Alpha King momentarily eclipsed by the mate, his face buried in the curve of my neck. In the height of our shared passion, as his teeth grazed the sensitive skin of my neck, I found the strength to whisper, "No, you promised. No claiming." He lifted his head, panting, the fight against his alpha instincts etched on his face, his eyes glowing like embers in the darkness. He honored his word. He respected the contract. Hours later, as the sky outside turned a pale, unforgiving silver, I slipped from his arms and went to the window, the heavy blue robe secured. My body was humming with the deep, satisfied ache of a night spent with my fated mate, but my mind was battling the ultimate choice. To return to River Mist was isolation. To stay was danger, but also purpose. The purpose revealed in that intense flash of vision in the hall. "The bargain stands," Kian said, rising from the bed, his voice rough with sleep and alpha control. "You endured the night. You are free." He was giving me the freedom I risked everything for. Yet the thought of walking away created an unexpected, agonizing ache, a sense of having abandoned the missing half of my soul. I could feel the invisible thread of the mate bond pulling me back to him, demanding I complete the circle. "What if I stayed?" I asked, turning to face him, the words escaping before I could stop them. The hope that flared in his eyes was blinding, dangerous. "If you stayed, you would be my queen, my mate, my equal in all things. You would be the living shield this kingdom needs. There will be resistance, Alara, political wolves seeking to tear us apart, but together, we will show them that true partnership is the ultimate power." He took my hand, his grip firm. "Come, before you choose, there is something you must see, a vision that will show you the truth of our entanglement. The true nature of the rescue I need." He led me up a secret spiral staircase, cold and winding, carved from the mountain's heart, to a hidden tower chamber. The room was austere, empty, save for a single pulsating crystal orb on a pedestal, the heart of sight. "The seer's chamber," he explained, his voice hushed with reverence. "This orb, the heart of sight, was created by the very first Alpha King and his moon speaker mate. It reveals the path ahead when touched by true fated mates. This was the final test, proof beyond doubt." I looked at him, seeing the powerful king, but also the man offering his future, his heart, vulnerable to my decision. "We'll touch it together," I whispered, finding a resolve I hadn't known I possessed. As our hands met on the cool, humming crystal, a light exploded, blinding and profound. The vision consumed me, detailed and terrifying, stretching across months and years of political shadow and war. The orb didn't show me the past. It hurled me into the future, and instantly, I was pulled into a sensory overload, the taste of iron and fear, the smell of damp parchment and ancient stone. I saw the Council of Alphas, the very nobles who had mocked my entrance, now circling Kian in the great hall. Their faces were predatory, their forced smiles like masks, their words, spoken in whispers, were poisoned barbs, the wolves in sheep's clothing. The scene shifted violently. I saw Kian, alone and broken, trapped in a stone cell deep beneath the citadel, falsely accused of treason against his own kingdom. The council had betrayed him, usurping his power, claiming his throne was forfeit due to instability. The scent of pine and smoke, Kian's signature, was now tainted by betrayal, and the stale, cloying scent of iron and decay. He was weak, fighting a debilitating fever from a hidden, slow-acting poison administered by a trusted lieutenant. My vision flew, driven by a desperate maternal fury. It guided me through secret passages only the ancient moon speakers and the castle's true builders knew. I was no longer a vulnerable Omega. I was a blur of protective fury, my silver pendant glowing fiercely, humming with the power of the earth itself. I found Kian. He looked up, his amber eyes dim with fever and exhaustion, but they recognized me instantly. He whispered my name, a plea. The wolves of the council were outside the chamber, preparing the final strike, the ceremonial execution. I used my moon speaker gift, not for prophecy, but for protection and defense. I channeled the earth's raw, ancient energy, creating a shield of blinding silver light around Kian's cell. It was an epic, painful struggle, the raw energy tearing through my body, forcing the traitors back with their own fear. I fought not with a claw or a blade, but with pure, defiant will, holding the political wolves at bay, until Kian could recover just enough strength to roar his command, a primal sound that broke the spell of their betrayal and called his loyalists to his defense. This was the rescue, not from forest wolves, but from the wolves of deceit and power, the true threat to his throne. I saved my Alpha King, not by submission, but by being the strength and the clear vision he lacked. The vision showed the cost, months of battle, but ultimate victory, with us standing side by side, unshakable. The blinding light faded, leaving me panting, leaning heavily on Kian, both of us shaken by the shared truth. The image of us ruling side by side, king and queen, equal partners, was etched into my soul. The vision also showed us raising a child, a powerful heir, validating the necessity of our union. I pulled my hand away, clarity settling over me like a cloak of certainty. The decision was no longer a personal sacrifice, but a duty. I won't be a silent, submissive queen, Kian, I declared, my voice firm with newfound purpose. I need a partner, Ilara, he confirmed, his eyes blazing with the shared memory of the vision. Someone who will challenge me, not obey me. I saw your strength. I saw you save me from the traitors who seek to devour this kingdom. We will face the opposition together. You are the shield I have been waiting for. I looked at my grandmother's pendant, now warm against my skin, a blessing, not a chain. My heart, which I had sworn never to surrender, chose this man, this destiny. I'll stay, I confirmed, a smile finally breaking through my reserve. Not because you conquered me, but because I choose you. I choose this battle. I accept the mate bond. He gathered me in his arms, his relief and triumph palpable, a primal scent of victory filling the air. My Ilara, my queen, we have a pact to protect and a throne to secure. As we descended the tower, the morning light streamed through the stained glass windows, painting the stone in vibrant colors. The guards waiting below straightened instantly, their eyes widening not at the sight of Kian, but at the sight of us, hands intertwined, a clear sign of the mate bond, radiating a power that was absolute. Kian looked down at me, his gaze full of pride and a terrifying certainty. "What are you thinking, my queen?" he asked. I smiled up at him, no longer afraid of what lay ahead. "I didn't just endure the night in your bed, Alpha King. I found my destiny there, and the wolves of your court will soon learn that I am not an offering to be devoured, but the one who hunts them." He pressed a kiss to my knuckles. "Welcome home, my queen. Let the hunt begin." The night of endurance was over. The life I chose, a partnership defined by strength, vision, and the fight against the political shadows, was just beginning. If you love stories about the quiet girl finding her true ancient power, about betrayal that leads to an epic destiny, and about the fierce mate bond that changes the world, you've come to the right place. Don't miss a single chapter of our saga. Hit that subscribe button for the channel when life surprises you, and join our pack for more epic tales of love, action, and the powerful destiny that awaits us all.